What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be taking a look at how to play the PS2 gun games from the gun games wheel. Now I just added these games in here so that guys can use your Aimtrak light guns to play these games, and they're a little bit complicated to get started and to know how to operate. So I want to make a video going game by game so that you guys know exactly what you have to do. So first things first, we're going to start with Dino Stalker. Now I have an Xbox controller right here, and for this particular game you need to use an Xbox controller and a gun, and that's because this game has a character that moves around the stage, different stages, and so you need to use an Xbox controller for that. You can also use a joystick on your control panel, so you can move the character with the joystick and obviously aim and fire with the gun. I'm going to do it with the Xbox controller. Now the only thing you're going to be using on this is the D-pad to move around, and the left trigger is your start button, and the left bumper is to change between weapons. At the beginning of every game, you're going to get a calibration screen like you see here. They're all different, so you have to make sure to read the screen. So this one says to adjust the aim of your gun con, and it says aim for the center of the target. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to go ahead and shoot. Sometimes you have to do it a few times. It won't take the first time like it did for me. So there you go. Now I'm nice and calibrated. Now it says down there, it says start button to exit the calibration. So as usual on your gun, if you're pointing it at the screen, your right button is start. You can also press start on the Xbox controller, or you can press player one start on your control panel. So I'm going to do it on the gun. Just squeezing the trigger to skip everything. Now some of these games have menus, and I've made it so that the left and right buttons on the gun, when pointed away from the screen, can navigate through the different options, but it's either only going to work up and down or left or right. So you can make some selections with it, but not everything. So if you needed to go, if you're doing the buttons and you see that it goes up and down but not left to right, and you want to select something left to right, then you have to use the joystick, or you have to use the Xbox controller to do so. Okay, so if you see, I can just use the Xbox controller to make selections as well. So we're going to go to new game, and I'm going to shoot the screen. I'm going to put it on easy, do that again. Now this game is going to take a while to get into the action, so I'm not going to go ahead and wait for everything because we're going to be here all day. But when we get to Resident Evil next, I'm going to show you how to move around the levels with the Xbox controller. So this one we're just going to skip it out. We're going to quit out of this game because this takes way too long. I don't want to wait for all of that. This video is already going to be long enough. So we're going to go to Resident Evil. There it is. Start it up. And I'm using my keyboard just for convenience. You obviously can use your control panel or your Xbox controller. Alright, so this particular game gives you this error at the beginning. This is how the real game works, and don't worry about it. You will be able to save. Whenever you get to a save state within the game, I think it's a typewriter in this game. Whenever you find a typewriter you can save, you will be able to save. But for this screen, you have to say no. So again, use your joystick or your Xbox controller to go left, and then you can go ahead and squeeze the trigger. Here's your calibration for this game. It says to aim for the center of the target, aim again, and then it says press start button to exit. So again, I'm going to press the right button on the gun, and we continue. Skip all of this stuff, start, new game, put it on easy, and I'll show you guys how this game works. Alright, I'm going to press start again to skip this. Here we are. Now remember I said you need a controller, so the controller lets you move around, as you can see here, and the left trigger would be to access, actually your left bumper would be to access the menu. Okay, so moving around with this, I'm just going to get it off the screen, but that's what I'm using. Whenever you get to a door and you want to open it, shoot off screen, and that'll open the door. Now whenever you get an item, whenever you find an item, stand next to it as usual. Again, shoot off screen. It tells you take the handgun round. It's asking if you want it. Again, yes or no with this. Say yes, squeeze the trigger, tells you that's taken, and then point off screen and squeeze the trigger again. So that's the basics of this game. I know it seems a little bit cumbersome, but you'll get used to it real quick. It's not difficult at all to get used to that. So let me see if I can shoot some dead people here. Here's some more items we're gonna get right now. Map is taken, shoot off screen. There's something else still, so shoot off screen again. Yes, squeeze the trigger, shoot off screen. There we go. Alright guys, so that is exactly how you play this game. So let's go ahead and take a look at another game. Now as usual, you can put the gun, you can face the gun down away from the screen, and if you hold the right button, that will also kick you out of the game. Alright, so what is next here? Let's go ahead and do Time Crisis. So we'll start with Time Crisis, Crisis Zone. Now for this game, I use a different method to get it working so that it doesn't have the fog that you would get with the original game. It's very annoying, it looks very ugly. Anytime you're shooting, there's this horrible fog all over the screen. So I use a method that gets around that, but because of using that method, any menu selection you have to make with your joystick or with an Xbox controller. Other games you can point around the screen and shoot at different selections, but with this one, because of the method that I use, that won't work. So anytime you shoot at the screen, no matter where you shoot, it's just going to shoot at whatever is selected. So for example, here, normally you can go like this and you know, shoot at the different options. You cannot do that here. You would use the Xbox controller to select different options. Now we're going to go to story mode, squeeze the trigger again, and yet again. Now obviously your left button is going to be the equivalent of your pedal, so I'm going to press that left button. Alright guys, so yeah, that's the gist of this game. You guys know what Time Crisis is. So let's go ahead and try Time Crisis 3. Now one thing that's going to be different on this one, and you'll see in a second here, is that the calibration doesn't have you press start when you're finished. It wants you to press the A or B button. So you're going to do what it says. You're going to shoot at the screen. There you go. Now it says retry, aim and shoot again, and press A or B. Now the equivalent of A or B is going to be to shoot outside of the screen. So there you go. Just make sure you always read the screen. The other games wanted you to press start over here. This one wants you to shoot off the screen and squeeze the trigger. So let's skip all of this stuff. See, this one you can shoot at the different selections on the screen. You don't have to use your controller or your joystick. So arcade, one player, and stage one. And by the way guys, all of these PlayStation games as of right now are only going to work as a one-player game. You cannot do two players on these games right now. If I get that fixed in the future, I'll make an updated video, but for now it's going to be one player. So let's skip this. And there you go. Now in this game, while you're taking cover, if you squeeze the trigger, you can see on the bottom it's switching between the different weapons. So now I have a shotgun, and there's a machine gun. Okay, so this time I'm going to use the right button. I'm going to point away from the screen, like so, and I'm going to hold that button. And you see that kicks you out. Okay, so Time Crisis 2 is the same thing, same calibration process. So you shoot, it says press A or B to continue, to end. So point away from the screen like this, squeeze the trigger. Squeeze the trigger to skip, and then from here on is the same thing as Time Crisis 2. All right, let's get out of this game. Let me show you Ninja Assault. Now Ninja Assault is going to be the same as Time Crisis Zone, where you can only make selections with your joystick or your Xbox controller. Now there's two Ninja Assaults. That's because one runs with one's the arcade version and the other one here is the new PlayStation 2 version. So we're going to select this game. And again, this one, you're only going to be able to make selections with your Xbox controller or your joystick. If you try to point at different things on the screen, it's not going to work. All right, so we go to story mode, select all the defaults. This game, you can shoot a secondary weapon, so for that, you would use your left button right here. Let me show you that real quick. Let's press this button right here. See? Yeah, and that's all there is to know about this one. So let's move on here. Next up, we can take a look at, let's do Vampire Knight. There it is. All right, and what I wanted to show you guys on this one is just how to, when it says continue, you're going to press basically the right button while pointed at the screen. Now this game is a little bit finicky with the shooting. You're going to probably notice it when you're playing it, but the way this is right now, I had two options: give you guys very accurate shooting, but then you wouldn't be able to press start when you die and it asks you to continue, or being able to press start when it asks you to continue, but then the shooting is going to be a little bit off. It's not too bad. You can definitely play the game, but I kind of went with that because I figured that if you're trying to play through the whole game and every time you die you can't continue, that's going to make it really hard for you. So having the shooting be a little bit off, I think is better. But here we go. Same thing. Squeeze the trigger, squeeze it again, and then point away from the screen and squeeze the trigger to continue. So I'm going to show you guys that real quick here. Arcade mode. Upper right there it says loading, and then it's going to say shoot the screen to continue. Here we go. Do it again to skip all of that. So as you can see, I can play perfectly fine, but every shot is not 100%, but it's still totally playable. Now I'm going to let him kill me. All right, there we go. So when it says that, all you do is you press the right button and you continue. Okay? All right, let's move on, guys. I have two more games to show you. Next one is Virtual Cop, and that's the Elite Edition. This first one here is the MAME, the original edition. This is a remastered one, so we're going to go with this one. This has the trickiest calibration of all of them. So the other ones are pretty straightforward. You shoot the screen, you either shoot off screen or press the start button to continue. This one is a little bit tricky. So let me show you that real quick. Then I'll show you end game and we're done. See if I remember how to do it myself. Alright, so first thing is you have to press start. So again, right button, right? So press that. Now you can shoot the screen, nice and aligned. Now you have to shoot off screen. Then this comes up. You shoot OK. And now you think you're done, it moves on, but it's not, and you don't press start again because then that just starts the calibration again. So what you do is you shoot off screen one more time, and then it asks, are you finished with the calibration? You shoot yes, and now you're done with the calibration. All right, so you'll get used to it pretty quickly, but if I didn't show you that, you'd probably be stuck there forever. So show you what it looks like real quick. It says press start. Sometimes you can shoot the screen, sometimes you can't. So for this one, I'm going to press the right button to start. Again, this is one of those where you would use your joystick over here, or you would use the Xbox controller to make selections here. But I'm just going to go with these defaults of game start, Virtual Cop 1. You also have Virtual Cop 2. Let's do 1. Press start button. All right, there you go, guys. Last game, end game. This is just like Time Crisis. It has the pedal so you can duck and reload. But I'll show you anyway. And I think there's maybe one I missed, but it's nothing special. It works just like the other one, so it's not a big deal. I don't really have to show you. Skip all this stuff. Here to continue, you press start. So again, right button, skip that cutscene. Press start. If you shoot the screen, it just does that. So again, button. And now you can use your gun. Skip the cutscene, the button again. And like I said, just like Time Crisis, you're going to use this button here to duck and to reload. Alright guys, that's going to be it. This has been a long video, but I just wanted to make sure I show you guys every single thing about these games so that you know how to play them and you can enjoy them better than trying to sit there fiddling with things because they're not too straightforward, but that's how it is. You know, I've made it as easy as possible. But I hope that was helpful, and I will see you guys on the next one.